Nothing says romance like a delayed flight and a parking lot that smells like frozen pea. I sat in my beat-up Ford pickup, engine running, heat blasting against the February cold, waiting for Rachel to text me her gate number. She'd been in Phoenix for 3 days at some HR conference, and honestly, the house had been quieter without her constant complaints about my work boots on the kitchen tile. My name's Nick Foster, and I fix air conditioners for a living. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me busy enough that I don't have to think too hard about why my fiancé of 2 years still hasn't set a wedding date. Rachel works in human resources at some tech company downtown, makes twice what I do, and never lets me forget it. The parking garage was nearly empty at midnight, just a few scattered cars under the flickering fluorescent lights. I was scrolling through my phone when I saw it. Dave Callahan's black Jeep Wrangler parked 3 spaces over, windows fogged up like a teenager's makeout session. Dave's been my best friend since we were 12. We played baseball together, got drunk for the first time together, even dated sisters for a while in high school. He owns a fitness center called Iron Paradise, all chrome and mirrors and protein powder, the kind of place where people take selfies between sets. The Jeep's passenger door opened, and Rachel stepped out. My brain did that thing where it stops working for a second, like when you touch a live wire. Rachel smoothed down her skirt, the black one she'd worn to the conference, and checked her reflection in the Jeep's window. Her lipstick was smudged. Her hair, usually perfect, looked like she'd been running her hands through it. Dave climbed out of the driver's side, and I noticed his zipper was half down. Well, shit, I muttered to myself. This is going to be interesting. Rachel walked toward my truck, her heels clicking on the concrete. Dave followed a few steps behind, hands shoved in his jacket pockets. Through my windshield, I could see Rachel's face, not guilty, not ashamed, just determined, like she was about to give a presentation. She knocked on my passenger window. I rolled it down. "Nick, we need to talk," she said. Her voice was steady, almost rehearsed. "About what? How your flight was? The weather in Phoenix? Or maybe about why you just climbed out of Dave's car looking like you've been wrestling?" Dave stepped up behind her. "Nick, man, let us explain." "Oh, this should be good." I turned off the engine and got out of the truck. The cold air hit my face like a slap. "Please explain away, I've got all night." Rachel took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Congratulations. When did this happen?" "About 6 weeks ago." I did the math. 6 weeks ago, Rachel had been working late almost every night, said she was training new employees. "And you're telling me this in a parking garage because the baby isn't yours," Dave said. The words hung in the air like exhaust fumes. I looked at Rachel, waiting for her to contradict him, to tell me this was some kind of sick joke. Instead, she nodded. "It's Dave's," she said. "But Nick, I want us to raise him together. You're stable. You're reliable. You'd be a good father." I started laughing. Not happy laughter. The kind that comes out when your brain can't process what it's hearing. "Let me get this straight. You've been sleeping with my best friend, you're pregnant with his kid, and you want me to help raise it because I'm... what did you call me? Stable?" "It's not that simple," Dave said. "Erica doesn't know. She can't know. It would destroy her." Erica is Dave's wife. She's a nurse at the children's hospital, works night shifts, saves lives for a living. She's also one of the kindest people I've ever met, the type who brings homemade cookies to every gathering and remembers everyone's birthday. "So your plan is what exactly? I marry Rachel, we pretend the kid is mine, and you get to play uncle? Maybe babysit when we go out of town?" Rachel stepped closer. "Nick, be practical. You love me. I know you do. And this baby needs a father who can provide stability." "Stability," I repeated. "Right, because cheating with my best friend screams stability." "Don't be dramatic," Rachel said. "People make mistakes. What matters is how we handle them." I looked at Dave. He couldn't meet my eyes. This guy who'd been in my wedding party when I married my first wife who'd helped me move furniture when she left, who'd been my drinking buddy through every major life event for the past 20 years. "How long?" I asked. "How long what?" Rachel said. "How long have you two been screwing behind my back?" Dave finally looked up. "About 8 months." 8 months. I thought about all the times Rachel had been working late. All the times Dave had canceled our weekend plans because he was busy at the gym. All the times they'd been in the same room, making small talk, pretending to barely know each other. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said. "I actually thought about proposing to you for real this Christmas. Had the ring picked out and everything." Rachel's face softened. "Nick, shut up." I turned to Dave. "And you. Erica makes you dinner every night. She supports your stupid gym when it's barely breaking even. She talks about having kids with you all the time." "I know," Dave said quietly. "I know I screwed up." "Screwed up? You didn't forget to take out the trash, Dave. You've been playing house with my fiancée for 8 months. A security guard wandered by, flashlight in hand, pretending not to listen to our conversation. I waited until he was out of earshot. "So, what happens now?" I asked. "You want me to just smile and nod and help raise your bastard kid?" "Don't call him that," Rachel snapped. "This baby didn't ask for any of this." "Neither did I." I walked back to my truck and opened the driver's door. Rachel followed me. "Where are you going?" "Home, to pack your stuff. You can pick it up tomorrow." "Nick, don't be stupid. Think about this logically. We can make this work." I started the engine. "You want logic? Here's some logic. I'd rather be audited by the IRS than spend another minute pretending to be happy with someone who thinks I'm just a convenient backup plan." Dave jogged over to my window. "Nick, wait. We can talk about this. Figure something out." I put the truck in reverse. "Dave, go to hell. And Rachel, next time you want to confess something, try a text message. It's less dramatic." I drove out of the parking garage, leaving them standing under the fluorescent lights. In my rearview mirror, I could see Rachel gesturing wildly, probably explaining to Dave how this was somehow my fault for being unreasonable. My phone started buzzing with texts before I'd even made it to the highway. "Rachel, don't be childish. Come back so we can discuss this like adults." "Dave, I'm sorry, man. I never meant for it to happen." "Rachel, I'm not the villain here. You're being selfish." I turned off my phone and drove home through the empty streets, past the 24-hour gas stations and closed strip malls, thinking about how I'd spent the last 2 years of my life planning a future with someone who'd been planning a different future entirely. When I got home, I sat in my driveway for 10 minutes, staring at the house we'd been living in together. The mortgage was in my name. The utilities were in my name. Even the cable bill was in my name, because Rachel had better credit and didn't want to mess it up with monthly payments. I went inside and started throwing her clothes into garbage bags. I was shoving Rachel's expensive dresses into black trash bags when my sister Jen showed up at my front door with a bottle of whiskey and a look that could melt steel. "I saw your truck in the driveway," she said, pushing past me into the living room, "and I got a very interesting phone call from Dave's wife about an hour ago. Jen's 2 years younger than me, works as a bartender at a place downtown called Murphy's. She's got our dad's temper and our mom's mouth, which makes her either the best person or the worst person to have around during a crisis." "Erica called you?" I asked. "Dave came home and confessed everything. Apparently, your little parking garage confrontation scared him straight." Jen cracked open the whiskey and handed me the bottle. "Erica's devastated. She's staying at her sister's place." I took a long drink. It burned, but not as much as thinking about Erica finding out her husband had been cheating on her with my fiancée. "So now what?" I said. "We all just pretend this never happened?" "Hell no. We burned Dave's gym down." Jen grinned. "Kidding, mostly. Arson's frowned upon in this state. So is adultery, but that didn't stop them." I went back to packing Rachel's stuff. Her jewelry box, her collection of self-help books, her organic face creams that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Everything that had made my house feel like our house. "You know what pisses me off the most?" I said, holding up a framed photo of Rachel and me from last Christmas. She didn't even apologize. She just wanted me to be practical about it. "Because she's a sociopath," Jen said. "I never liked her. You never told me that. You never asked. And you looked happy, so I kept my mouth shut." My phone started buzzing again. More texts from Rachel, now with a different tone. "Rachel, I left some important work files in the office. I need to get them tomorrow." "Rachel, also, we need to talk about the joint bank account." "Rachel, and the credit card, and the car insurance." I showed Jen the messages. She read them and shook her head. "She's already in damage control mode. Bet you anything she's got a lawyer on speed dial." "For what? We're not married." "Common law marriage. Palimony. She'll find something." I hadn't thought about that. Rachel was smart, and she was ruthless when she needed to be. I'd seen her destroy people at her job for less than this. "I need to protect myself," I said. "Damn right you do." We spent the next 2 hours going through the house, making lists of what belonged to whom. The furniture was mostly mine from before we moved in together. The TV was mine. The kitchen stuff was a mix, but I had receipts for most of it. The joint bank account was the problem. We'd been putting money into it for over a year, saving up for the wedding that was never going to happen, about $15,000, split pretty evenly between us. "Transfer your half out first thing tomorrow," Jen said, "before she thinks of it." "Is that legal?" "It's your money too." At 3 a.m, Jen passed out on my couch, and I went upstairs to the bedroom that still smelled like Rachel's perfume. I stripped the sheets and threw them in the washing machine, then lay on the bare mattress, staring at the ceiling. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Dave. "Dave, I know you hate me right now, but we've been friends for 20 years. That has to count for something." I typed back, "20 years of friendship doesn't give you the right to screw my fiancée, lose my number." Dave, "Come to the gym tomorrow, let me explain." Me, "I'd rather have my teeth pulled with pliers." Dave, "I'm not giving up on our friendship." Me, "Good thing I am." I blocked his number and tried to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of someone pounding on my front door. I checked the clock, 7:30. I'd slept for maybe 3 hours. Jen was already awake, making coffee in my kitchen like she owned the place. "Your ex-fiancée's here," she called out, and she brought backup. I looked out the front window. Rachel's silver BMW was parked in my driveway, along with a car I didn't recognize. Through the window, I could see Rachel talking to an older woman in an expensive coat. "Is that her mother?" Jen asked. Unfortunately, Mrs. Prentice had never liked me. She thought Rachel was settling by dating a blue-collar worker. She'd made that clear at every family gathering for the past 2 years, usually after her 3rd glass of wine. I opened the door. Rachel had clearly been crying, but she'd fixed her makeup. She was wearing her power suit, the navy blue one she wore to important meetings. "Nick, I brought my mother because I think we need a mediator," Rachel said. Mrs. Prentice stepped forward. "Nicholas, I understand you're upset, but throwing my daughter's belongings on the lawn like common trash is unacceptable." I looked outside. The garbage bags were still sitting by the front door where I'd left them. "They're not on the lawn," I said. "They're on the porch." "Don't be smart with me, young man." "I'll be as smart as I want to be. This is my house." Rachel pushed past her mother. "Nick, we need to talk about this situation rationally." "What situation? The situation where you've been cheating on me for 8 months? Or the situation where you want me to raise another man's baby?" Mrs. Prentice's eyebrows shot up. "Another man's baby?" Rachel shot me a look that could kill. Apparently, she hadn't filled Mommy in on all the details. "Mother, let me handle this." "Rachel Ann Prentice, what is he talking about?" I decided to help Rachel out. Your daughter is pregnant with my former best friend's baby, and she wants me to marry her anyway because I'm stable. Isn't that sweet? Mrs. Prentice turned to Rachel. Is this true? It's complicated, Mother. It's really not, I said. She's been sleeping with Dave Callahan behind my back. Now she's pregnant, and she wants me to play daddy because Dave's already married. Mrs. Prentice looked like she was going to faint. She sat down heavily on my porch step. Rachel, how could you be so stupid? Thanks for the support, Mother. Don't get sarcastic with me. Do you have any idea what this will do to our family's reputation? I almost felt sorry for Rachel. Almost. Look, I said. I've packed up all your stuff. Take it and go. We're done. What about our bank account? Rachel asked. What about it? I need access to my money. Your money is still there. My money, on the other hand, I moved to a different account this morning. Rachel's face went red. You can't do that. Actually, I can. It's a joint account. Either of us can withdraw funds at any time. That's theft. No, theft would be if I took your money. I only took mine. Mrs. Prentice stood up. Nicholas, be reasonable. My daughter is pregnant. She needs financial support. Then maybe she should have thought of that before she decided to play musical beds. Jen appeared in the doorway behind me. Is there a problem here? No problem, I said. They were just leaving. Rachel grabbed 2 of the garbage bags. This isn't over, Nick. I know where you work. I know your friends. I can make your life very difficult. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Mrs. Prentice helped Rachel load the bags into her BMW. Before they drove away, Rachel rolled down her window. You'll regret this, Nick. I gave you the best years of my life. The best years of your life were spent cheating on me. I'd hate to see the worst years. After they left, Jen and I sat on the porch drinking coffee and watching the neighborhood wake up. That went well, she said. She's going to try to destroy me. Let her try. You're tougher than you look. My phone rang. It was my boss, Ron Martinez, from the HVAC company. Nick, you got a problem, he said without preamble. Someone called the office this morning claiming you've been stealing equipment. What? Anonymous tip. Said you've been taking copper tubing and selling it on the side. Ron, you know that's bullshit. I know it, but I gotta investigate. Company policy. Don't come in today. I'll call you when I get this sorted out. I hung up and looked at Jen. It's starting. What's starting? Rachel's revenge tour. She just got me suspended from work. Jen cracked her knuckles. Okay, now I'm pissed. By noon, Rachel had managed to get me temporarily suspended from work, convince 3 of our mutual friends that I was having some kind of breakdown, and somehow get my gym membership revoked. The gym thing was particularly impressive, since I'd been a member there for 5 years and had never caused any problems. I was sitting in Murphy's, the bar where Jen works, trying to figure out my next move when Dave walked in. He looked like hell. His usually perfect hair was messy, and he had dark circles under his eyes. He spotted me immediately and walked over to my table. Nick, we need to talk. No, we really don't. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I'd rather spend 5 minutes getting a root canal. Dave sat down anyway. Erica left me. Good for Erica. She took half the money from our business account. I can barely make payroll this week. And I should care about this because I'm trying to make things right. I laughed. Make things right? You want to make things right? Go back in time 8 months and keep your dick in your pants. I can't change what happened, but I can try to fix the damage. The damage is done, Dave. You screwed my fiancée, got her pregnant, and now you want me to feel sorry for you because your wife found out? That's not damage. That's consequences. Dave leaned forward. Rachel's been calling my gym members, telling them I'm unstable. She's trying to destroy my business. Welcome to my world. She got me suspended from work this morning. She what? Anonymous tip about stolen equipment. Completely false, but my boss has to investigate. Dave ran his hands through his hair. She's lost her mind. No, she's pissed off. There's a difference. Jen appeared at our table with a beer for me and nothing for Dave. "You're not welcome here," she told him. "Jen, come on." "Come on, nothing. You betrayed my brother. Get out of my bar." Dave looked at me. "Nick, tell her—" "She's right. Get out." Dave stood up slowly. "This isn't over." "Yeah, it is." After Dave left, Jen sat down across from me. He looked scared. He should be. Rachel's going scorched earth on everyone. Including herself, apparently. I heard from Lisa Chen that Rachel got called into HR at her own company today. Something about inappropriate conduct. Lisa Chen works at the same tech company as Rachel, different department. She comes into Murphy's sometimes after work. What kind of inappropriate conduct? The kind where you sleep with married men and then try to blackmail people. Word gets around fast in corporate environments. I felt a small spark of satisfaction. Good. It gets better. Apparently Dave's been calling her nonstop, begging her not to destroy his business. She told him she'd stop if he left his wife and married her. Jesus, she's really lost it. Or she's desperate, pregnant, single, about to lose her job. People do crazy things when they're backed into a corner. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Unknown. "This is Erica. Can we meet? I have something to show you." I showed the message to Jen. "You should go," she said. "I don't want to get involved in their divorce." "You're already involved. Besides, Erica's good people. She doesn't deserve what Dave did to her." An hour later, I met Erica at a coffee shop downtown. She looked exhausted, like she'd been crying for days. She was wearing scrubs, probably came straight from the hospital. "Thanks for meeting me," she said. "I wasn't sure you would. How are you holding up?" "I've been better." She pulled out her phone. "I found something on Dave's computer. I thought you should see it." She showed me a series of text messages between Dave and Rachel, going back 6 months. The early ones were flirty but innocent. By month 3, they were explicit. By month 5, they were talking about leaving their respective partners. But the last few messages were the most interesting. Dave: "Nick's getting suspicious. Maybe we should cool it for a while." Rachel: "Don't be a coward. We're almost ready to make our move." Dave: "What move?" Rachel: "I've been documenting everything. Nick's drinking, his mood swings, the way he talks to me. I can make a case that he's emotionally abusive." Dave: "Rachel, that's not true." Rachel: "It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be believable." I felt sick reading it. She was planning to frame me? "It gets worse." Erica scrolled down. "Look at this one from last week." Rachel: "I'm pregnant. This is perfect timing." Dave: "How is this perfect?" Rachel: "Because now Nick will have to choose between looking like a deadbeat who abandoned his pregnant fiancée or staying with me and raising the baby. Either way, I win." Dave: "What if he finds out the baby isn't his?" Rachel: "Then we move to plan B." Dave: "Which is?" Rachel: "You leave Erica, I leave Nick, and we start over somewhere else, with the money from both of our joint accounts and whatever I can get from Nick in a palimony suit." I handed the phone back to Erica. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because they destroyed my marriage, and they were planning to destroy your life too. I think we should return the favor." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I want revenge. And I think you do too." I looked at Erica. Sweet, kind Erica, who brought cookies to every party and worked night shifts, saving sick kids. She had fire in her eyes I'd never seen before. "What did you have in mind?" "Dave's gym is barely breaking even. Most of his clients are there because they like him personally. But what if they found out what kind of person he really is? You want to expose the affair publicly?" "I want to expose everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the plan to frame you as abusive. I want everyone to know exactly who Dave Callahan and Rachel Prentice really are." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to just walk away, start over, pretend the last 2 years never happened. but a bigger part of me was tired of being the nice guy, the stable one, the backup plan. "What do you need from me?" Erica smiled for the first time since I'd sat down. "I need you to help me destroy them." Erica and I spent the next 3 hours planning what she called Operation Scorched Earth. For someone who saves lives for a living, she had a surprisingly devious mind when it came to revenge. "The key is to make it look like they destroyed themselves," she explained over her 4th cup of coffee. "We don't do anything illegal or unethical. We just help the truth come to light." "And how exactly do we do that?" "Social media. Dave's gym has a Facebook page with about 2,000 followers. Local people, potential clients, current members. What if someone accidentally posted those text messages on the page? Someone being you? Someone being Dave? I still have access to his social media accounts. He never changed the passwords after we got married." I had to admire the simplicity of it. "And Rachel?" "Her company has a very strict morality clause in their employee handbook. Something about maintaining professional standards and not engaging in behavior that could reflect poorly on the company." "How do you know about Rachel's employee handbook?" "Because I asked Lisa Chen to send me a copy. Lisa's not a fan of Rachel's either, apparently." "What about the pregnancy? That's going to complicate things." Erica's expression hardened. "The pregnancy is exactly why we need to do this. She's using that baby as a weapon against everyone. You, me, even Dave. Someone needs to stop her." We agreed to start small. Erica would post the text messages on Dave's gym Facebook page during peak hours, when the most people would see them. I would send copies of the messages to Rachel's HR department, along with a detailed explanation of how she'd been using company time and resources to conduct her affair. "What about the anonymous tip she made about you stealing equipment?" Erica asked. "What about it?" "We should return the favor. Does Dave have any business practices that might not hold up to scrutiny?" I thought about it. "He's been paying some of his trainers under the table to avoid payroll taxes, and I'm pretty sure he's been fudging his membership numbers to get better rates from his equipment suppliers." "Perfect. Anonymous tips work both ways." We shook hands in the coffee shop parking lot like we were sealing a business deal instead of planning to destroy 2 people's lives. "Are you sure about this?" I asked. "Once we start, there's no going back." "They didn't think about going back when they decided to betray us," Erica said. "Why should we?" That evening, I was at home eating takeout Chinese food when my phone rang. It was Ron, my boss. "Nick, good news. I cleared up that anonymous tip. Whoever called it in didn't know what they were talking about. You can come back to work tomorrow." "Thanks, Ron. I appreciate you checking it out." "No problem. But Nick, someone's got it out for you. Watch your back." An hour later, Erica texted me. "It's done. Check Dave's Facebook page." I pulled up Iron Paradise Fitness on Facebook. The latest post, from Dave's account, was time-stamped 20 minutes ago. I want to be honest with my clients and friends about some personal issues I'm dealing with. I've been having an affair with Rachel Prentice for the past 8 months. She's pregnant with my child. I know this is disappointing news, and I understand if you choose to take your business elsewhere. I'm sorry for letting you down. Dave. Below the text were screenshots of the most damning text messages between Dave and Rachel. The post already had 37 comments, and they weren't sympathetic. Words like disgusting, unprofessional, and scumbag appeared frequently. Several people had announced they were canceling their memberships immediately. My phone rang. Dave. "Nick, what the hell did you do?" "I didn't do anything. Someone hacked my Facebook account and posted private messages between me and Rachel. This is going to destroy my business." "Gee, that's terrible. It's almost like actions have consequences." "This is you, isn't it? You're trying to ruin me." "Dave, I've been at home eating lo mein and watching Netflix. If someone posted your dirty laundry online, maybe you should ask yourself why you had dirty laundry in the first place. I'm going to sue you for this. Good luck proving I did anything. But hey, While you're talking to lawyers, you might want to ask them about paying employees under the table. I hear the IRS is really interested in that kind of thing." Dave hung up. 20 minutes later, Rachel called. "Nick, you need to fix this right now." "Fix what?" "Dave's Facebook post. It's all over social media. My coworkers are seeing it. My mother's friends are seeing it. You need to make it stop." "I don't control Dave's social media, Rachel. Don't play dumb. I know you're behind this. Actually, I'm behind my kitchen counter making a sandwich. But thanks for thinking I'm smart enough to orchestrate a social media campaign. This isn't funny. I could lose my job over this." "That would be a shame. Almost as much of a shame as you trying to get me fired this morning." "That was different." "How?" Because you're being vindictive." "I'm being vindictive? You've been planning to frame me as an abusive boyfriend for months. You tried to get me suspended from work. You threatened to make my life difficult. But I'm the vindictive one? I never said I was going to frame you. Rachel, I've seen the text messages. All of them." There was silence on the other end of the line. "How? Does it matter?" "The point is, I know exactly what you and Dave were planning. The fake abuse allegations, the palimony suit, stealing money from joint accounts. All of it. You can't prove anything." "I don't have to prove anything. The text messages speak for themselves. Those are private communications. You can't use them. Watch me." I hung up and immediately called the anonymous tip line for the state labor department. I gave them Dave's business information and suggested they might want to look into his employment practices. Then I called the anonymous tip line for the state revenue department and suggested they might want to audit Iron Paradise Fitness. By the time I went to bed, Dave's Facebook post had been shared over 200 times, and the local news had picked up the story. The headline read, "Local gym owner admits to affair in public Facebook post." I slept better than I had in weeks. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Dave's Facebook confession had gone viral overnight, picked up by local news stations, and shared across every social media platform in the city. The Iron Paradise Fitness Facebook page was in complete meltdown. Hundreds of comments from angry members, canceled memberships, and people sharing their own stories about Dave's unprofessional behavior over the years. Apparently, the affair with Rachel wasn't his first rodeo. Rachel's situation was even worse. Someone had forwarded the story to her company's HR department, along with copies of all the text messages. Her boss had called an emergency meeting for 8 a.m. Jen showed up at my house with coffee and donuts, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "Have you seen the news?" she asked, turning on my TV. Channel 7's morning show was running the story as their lead item. Local fitness center owner's public confession sparks social media firestorm. The anchor, a perfectly coiffed woman named Sandra Mills, was interviewing people outside Iron Paradise. The gym was closed, with a handwritten sign on the door that read, "Temporarily closed due to personal issues." "This is better than reality TV," Jen said. My phone rang. "Erica. Have you seen Dave's gym this morning?" she asked. "On TV, yeah. Is it really closed?" "I drove by an hour ago. There were protesters outside. Actual protesters, with signs about adultery and family values. Apparently some church group organized it overnight." "Protesters?" "Welcome to the internet age, Nick. Moral outrage spreads faster than wildfire." Around 10 a.m., I got a call from an unknown number. "Is this Nick Foster?" "Depends who's asking." "This is Sandra Mills from Channel 7 News. I'm doing a follow-up story on the Iron Paradise situation. I understand you were personally affected by Mr. Callahan's actions?" No comment. "Mr. Foster, the public is very interested in this story. Wouldn't you like to share your side of what happened?" "My side is that my ex-fiancée and former best friend are both lying, cheating pieces of garbage, and they're finally facing consequences for their actions. Is that enough of a quote for you? Could we set up an on-camera interview?" "Lady, I fix air conditioners for a living. I don't do interviews." I hung up, but the calls kept coming. 3 more news stations, 2 radio shows, and something called the Midwest Family Values Podcast. By noon, Rachel's employment situation had resolved itself. Lisa Chen texted me. Rachel got fired, effective immediately. Security escorted her out. I called Erica. Phase 1 complete. I heard. Dave's been calling me nonstop, begging me to help him fix this. Are you going to? I told him I'd consider it if he signed over his half of our house and agreed to pay me alimony for the next 5 years. Will he do it? He doesn't have a choice. His business is finished and he knows it. That afternoon, Dave showed up at my house. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His usually pristine appearance was completely shot. Wrinkled clothes, unshaven face, hair sticking up in all directions. Nick, please, you have to help me fix this. I don't have to do anything. My business is ruined. I've lost everything. Good. Come on, man. We've been friends since we were kids. Friends don't sleep with each other's fiancés, Dave. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices over 8 months. This isn't a mistake. It's a pattern. Dave sat down heavily on my porch steps. Rachel's been calling me all day, screaming about how this is all my fault. Isn't it? She was part of it too. She's the one who came up with the plan to frame you as abusive. And you went along with it. I was stupid. I was thinking with my dick instead of my brain. At least you're honest about something. Dave looked up at me. What do you want? Money? I'll give you whatever I have left. I don't want your money, Dave. Then what? What will it take for you to help me fix this? I thought about it. What did I want? I wanted the last 8 months of my life back. I wanted to trust people again. I wanted to not feel like an idiot every time I thought about how oblivious I'd been. I want you to tell the truth, I said finally. What truth? All of it. The whole plan. How you and Rachel were going to frame me, steal money from joint accounts, destroy my reputation. I want you to admit it publicly. I can't do that. It would make everything worse. For who? You? Rachel? You think I care about making things worse for you two? If I admit to planning to frame you, I could go to jail. You should have thought of that before you planned to frame me. Dave stood up. You're enjoying this, aren't you? More than I should, probably. This isn't you, Nick. You're not vindictive like this. You're right. The old Nick wasn't vindictive. The old Nick was trusting and forgiving and stupid. But the old Nick didn't know his best friend and fiancée were planning to destroy his life for money. So what now? You're just going to watch my life fall apart? Dave, your life fell apart the moment you decided to betray everyone who cared about you. I'm just making sure everyone else knows about it. Dave walked back to his car, a beat-up Honda that definitely wasn't the Jeep he'd been driving a few days ago. This isn't over, he called out. Yeah, it is. That evening, Erica and I met at Murphy's to celebrate. The bar was packed, and everyone wanted to buy me drinks. Apparently, the story had turned me into some kind of local folk hero, the wronged man who'd gotten his revenge. To justice, Erica said, raising her beer. To consequences, I replied. What's next? She asked. Next, I go back to my normal life. Fix air conditioners, watch baseball, try to forget the last 2 years ever happened. What about Rachel? I thought about it. Rachel was unemployed, pregnant, and facing potential legal action from her former company for misuse of resources. Dave's business was finished, his marriage was over, and he was facing audits from multiple state agencies. I think Rachel's going to have bigger problems than me to worry about. As if summoned by our conversation, Rachel walked into Murphy's. The entire bar went quiet. Everyone recognized her from the news coverage. She looked around the room, spotted me, and walked over to our table. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Yes, we do. Outside. Rachel, you're not welcome here, Jen called out from behind the bar. This is a public establishment. And I'm the manager. I'm asking you to leave. Rachel ignored her and sat down at our table. Nick, this has gone far enough. Has it? I'm pregnant. I'm unemployed. I have no money and nowhere to go. That sounds like a personal problem. It's your personal problem too, because if you don't help me, I'm going to tell everyone that you're the father of this baby. The bar had gone completely silent. Everyone was listening. Go ahead, I said. What? Tell everyone I'm the father. See how that works out for you. Nick, I'm serious. So am I. Tell everyone I'm the father of your baby. But first, let me tell everyone about the text messages where you and Dave planned to frame me as abusive, steal my money, and run away together. I pulled out my phone and started reading from the screenshots Erica had sent me. Nick's getting suspicious. Maybe we should cool it for a while. Don't be a coward. We're almost ready to make our move. Rachel's face went white. Stop. My thumb hovered over the screen for a second, not because I was hesitating, but because I wanted the timing to land perfectly, like a gavel strike in the middle of a crowded room. The bar's noise had that familiar Friday night blend of laughter, clinking glasses, and half-heard conversations that didn't matter until they suddenly did. Jen's place was usually a refuge. Warm lighting, old wood, a little too loud in a way that made you feel anonymous. Tonight, it felt like a courtroom with better music. Rachel sat across from me with her arms folded, chin lifted, eyes shining with that practiced blend of innocence and indignation. She'd been spinning her story for weeks, how she was scared, how Nick was unstable, how she was just trying to protect herself. She'd said it to mutual friends, to co-workers, to anyone who would listen, feeding them small pieces in the right order so they'd feel like they discovered the conclusion themselves. I'd watched the social tide shift against Nick, against me by association, against anyone who didn't immediately validate her narrative. People loved a victim. They loved an easy villain even more. But what Rachel hadn't accounted for was that she'd gotten careless. She'd talked like she was already untouchable. She'd said the quiet part out loud in a message thread she thought would never leave her phone. I lifted my glass, took a slow sip, and set it down with deliberate calm. Then I hit play. The audio came through my phone speaker crisp and unmistakable, Rachel's voice recorded in that casual, conversational tone people use when they're being honest with someone they think is on their side. I've been documenting everything. Nick's drinking, his mood swings, the way he talks to me. I can make a case that he's emotionally abusive. Her face twitched, just a microsecond, like her skin had tried to reject what her ears were hearing. "Stop it!" she hissed, leaning forward. I didn't stop. I turned the volume up one notch, not loud enough to be theatrical, just loud enough that the nearest tables could hear. Because the truth doesn't need a megaphone when it's raw. Her recorded voice continued, colder now, more confident. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to be believable. The words landed like a dropped glass. You could feel the air change around us, that subtle shift when strangers realize they're witnessing something real, something that isn't scripted. The bar's background noise didn't disappear, but it dipped, as if people instinctively leaned in. Someone at the high-top table to my left stopped laughing mid-sentence. A guy near the dartboard lowered his beer. I saw a phone lift in the corner, camera pointed toward us, and for the first time I didn't feel dread at being filmed. I felt relief. Let it exist. Let it spread. Let it be impossible to deny. Rachel lunged across the table, fingers outstretched, trying to grab my phone like she could snatch reality back into her purse and pretend this never happened. I stood up smoothly and held it out of reach, arm extended, posture relaxed. There's a particular kind of panic you can recognize in people when their lies are being exposed publicly. It isn't just fear. It's rage that the universe isn't obeying them anymore. "Give me that!" she demanded, voice cracking. "Why?" I asked, and I kept my tone calm enough to sting. "Embarrassed? You should be." Her eyes flashed, and for a moment she looked like she might hit me, not because she wanted to hurt me, but because she wanted to change the story. Violence would have been a lifeline for her. If she could provoke a scene where I looked aggressive, she could frame herself as the frightened woman again. But she didn't. She froze, realizing the same thing I did, that any move she made now could be captured, replayed, analyzed. The people around us were staring openly. I saw recognition in their faces, the moment of recalibration. The story they'd heard versus the story they were hearing. When you give people a choice between vague accusations and a clear recording, most of them choose the thing that doesn't require imagination. That was the point. Rachel had lived on imagination. I was bringing receipts. She stood up so abruptly, her chair scraped backward. Tears streamed down her face, but they looked different now. Not the controlled tears she'd used in conversations with friends, not the ones that came with little pauses to see if people were buying it. These tears were messy, furious, outraged tears. They weren't grief. They were loss. Loss of control. "You're destroying my life," she cried, loud enough that heads turned from across the bar. I met her eyes and spoke clearly, not to win her back, not to negotiate, but to make sure the room understood what they were seeing. "No, Rachel. You destroyed your own life. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it." For a second, her mouth hung open like she wanted to spit something at me. A new accusation, a new label, something that would restore her moral advantage. But she couldn't find it fast enough. The recording had cut her off at the knees. She grabbed her purse with shaking hands, eyes darting around the bar as if she expected someone to rescue her with sympathy. No one did. Rachel turned and ran out of the bar, pushing through the crowd so hard her shoulder clipped a man near the entrance. The door banged behind her, and for a heartbeat the place was silent, as if everyone was waiting for the world to decide how to respond. Then the room erupted. Not in cruel laughter exactly, but in that messy, collective release people have when they realize they've been manipulated, and they're glad they didn't go down with the lie. Cheers rose near the back. Someone whistled. A couple of people clapped. I saw a man I'd known for years, Tom from down the street, shake his head in disbelief and mutter, "Holy hell." A woman from my office, Kara, stared at me with wide eyes, then nodded slowly, as if she was finally seeing the full picture. Jen appeared beside me like she'd been waiting for the exact moment to step in. She didn't look shocked. She looked satisfied, which told me she'd suspected something for a while but hadn't had proof. "On the house," she said, holding out a bottle of champagne like a trophy. I blinked, still catching up with my own heartbeat. "You don't have to do that." "I do," Jen replied firmly, popping the foil with practiced hands. "Because I'm tired of people coming in here and dragging good people through the mud for entertainment. And because," she added, leaning closer, voice low, "Rachel tried to get me to back her up last week. I didn't like her story. Now I know why." She poured champagne into a clean glass and handed it to me. The bubbles rose fast, bright, ridiculous. I took it and held it for a second, looking around the room. Faces. So many faces. People I'd known for years without ever really knowing. Neighbors, co-workers, friends of friends. Some looked embarrassed. Maybe they'd believed Rachel. Maybe they'd repeated her story. Some looked angry on my behalf. Some looked impressed, not because I'd won, but because I'd stayed calm and still swung the hammer. And what hit me hardest was the thing I hadn't seen in weeks. Respect, not pity. Not that awkward, cautious sympathy people offer when they think you're fragile. Respect, clean and unforced. The kind that says you didn't beg for your dignity back, you took it. I lifted the champagne slightly in a quiet toast, not to the room, not to the spectacle, but to the principle behind it. Truth doesn't need drama. It needs clarity. I took a sip. It tasted cold and sharp and celebratory in a way that almost made me laugh, because the situation itself was anything but light. But the sensation in my chest was real. The tightness I'd been carrying for weeks loosened, and I realized I was breathing differently. deeper, slower, like my body had been waiting for permission to stop being on alert. A couple of people approached cautiously, as if they weren't sure if they were allowed to speak to me yet. "Man," Tom said, rubbing the back of his neck, "I owe you an apology. I heard things." "I know," I replied, and I meant it. "It's okay." "It's not," Kara said, stepping in beside him. She looked genuinely rattled. "She told me that Nick was, and I believed her because she cried. I didn't even ask questions." "That's how she does it," I said. "Crying isn't proof." Kara nodded slowly, like she was filing that lesson somewhere deep. "Are you okay?" she asked. I looked down at the glass in my hand, then back at the room, at the faces, at the phone still recording from the corner, capturing a version of me that Rachel hadn't anticipated, a version that didn't crumble, didn't plead, didn't chase. "For the first time in weeks," I said, and my voice came out steady. "I feel like myself again." Jen clinked her bottle lightly against my glass and gave me a look that was half pride, half warning. "Enjoy the moment," she said, "but be smart. People like Rachel don't take a hit like that and walk away quietly." I nodded because I already knew. A public loss doesn't end a liar, it just forces them to evolve. But tonight, for a brief stretch of time, the truth had air around it. The room had seen it. The story had changed hands. And as the cheers faded into normal bar noise again, as music swelled and conversations restarted, I stood there with champagne in my hand and a calm in my chest that felt unfamiliar, but welcome. For once, the spotlight didn't feel like punishment. It felt like justice. 3 days later, I was at work replacing a compressor unit in a downtown office building when my phone started buzzing with calls from unknown numbers. By the time I took a break, I had 12 missed calls and 23 text messages. The first text was from Jen. "Check Channel 7 News website right now." I pulled up the website on my phone. The headline made my blood run cold. "Pregnant woman claims harassment by ex-fiancé in viral revenge case." Below, it was a photo of Rachel looking vulnerable and tearful, sitting across from Sandra Mills in what appeared to be a professional interview setting. I clicked on the video. Rachel was wearing a conservative dress and speaking in a soft, shaky voice that I barely recognized. "I made mistakes," she was saying. "I admit that, but Nick has taken this far beyond what any reasonable person would consider appropriate revenge. He systematically destroyed my life, my career, my reputation. I'm pregnant and homeless because of his vindictive campaign against me." Sandra Mills leaned forward sympathetically. "You say he's been harassing you?" "Constantly. Phone calls, text messages, showing up at places where he knows I'll be. He's turned this into a public humiliation campaign, and I'm afraid for my safety." "Have you gone to the police?" "I filed a report, but they say since we were engaged it's a civil matter unless he actually threatens me physically." "And the father of your baby?" "Dave Callahan is also being harassed by Nick. His business has been destroyed, his marriage is over. Nick won't stop until he's ruined everyone who was involved in this situation." I felt sick watching it. Rachel was spinning the entire story, making herself the victim and me the villain, and she was doing it convincingly. My phone rang. Ron, my boss. "Nick, I just saw the news. Please tell me you're not actually stalking your ex-fiancée." "Ron, I haven't contacted Rachel since the night I found out about the affair. This is complete bullshit." "I believe you, but the company's getting calls, people asking if we employ Nick Foster, the guy who's been harassing pregnant women. This is bad for business." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe you should take some time off until this blows over." "You're suspending me again?" "I'm suggesting you lay low for a while." I hung up and called Erica immediately. "Did you see the news?" she asked before I could speak. "Yeah, she's claiming I'm harassing her." "It gets worse. Dave's backing up her story. He gave an interview to the same reporter saying you've been threatening him." That's insane. I haven't even talked to Dave since he showed up at my house 3 days ago. I know that, and you know that, but the public doesn't know that. Rachel's playing the victim card, and it's working. I drove home in a rage, my mind racing through everything that had happened. Somehow, Rachel had managed to turn the entire situation around, making me look like the bad guy. When I got home, there were 2 news vans parked across the street from my house. I pulled into my garage and went inside through the back door. My phone was ringing constantly. More reporters wanting interviews, people from my neighborhood asking if the news reports were true, even my ex-wife calling to ask if I'd lost my mind. I turned off my phone and tried to think. Rachel was smart. I'd always known that. But this was next-level manipulation. She'd taken the truth and twisted it just enough to make herself sympathetic while painting me as an unhinged stalker. Around 6 p.m., someone knocked on my front door. I looked out the window and saw 2 police officers standing on my porch. I opened the door. "Can I help you?" "Mr. Foster? I'm Officer Martinez. This is Officer Johnson. We need to ask you some questions about Rachel Prentice." "What about her?" "She's filed a harassment complaint against you. Says you've been following her, making threatening phone calls, that sort of thing." "That's completely false. Can we come in and talk about it?" I let them into my living room. Officer Martinez was a middle-aged Hispanic woman with tired eyes. Officer Johnson was younger, probably fresh out of the academy. "Mr. Foster, Ms. Prentice claims you've been contacting her repeatedly since your breakup. Is that true?" "No, I haven't called her, texted her, or contacted her in any way since last week." "She says you showed up at her mother's house yesterday demanding to see her." "I was at work yesterday. I can show you my timesheets." "She also says you've been spreading private information about her online, trying to destroy her reputation." "I haven't posted anything online. The information that's been made public came from other sources." Officer Martinez made notes in a small pad. "What other sources?" I hesitated. I didn't want to drag Erica into this. "Officer, I found out my fiancé was cheating on me with my best friend. When I confronted them about it, they admitted it. Other people found out and started talking about it. I didn't spread any information. I just didn't try to stop other people from talking." "Ms. Prentice seems to think you orchestrated a campaign to destroy her life." "Ms. Prentice destroyed her own life when she decided to cheat on me and then try to manipulate me into raising another man's child." Officer Johnson spoke up. "Sir, we understand you're angry, but you can't take the law into your own hands." "I haven't broken any laws." "Harassment is against the law." "I haven't harassed anyone." Officer Martinez closed her notebook. "Mr. Foster, we're not charging you with anything today, but we need you to stay away from Miss Prentice. No contact, no showing up where she works or lives, no phone calls or messages." "That's fine with me. I never want to see her again anyway." "And no more public statements about her personal life." "I haven't made any public statements." "The interview you gave to Channel 7. "I didn't give an interview to Channel 7. I told a reporter no comment and hung up on her." The officers exchanged glances. Officer Martinez reopened her notebook. "Ms. Prentice said you gave a detailed interview where you called her, quote, a lying, cheating piece of garbage who got what she deserved." "I never said that to any reporter." "She also said you posted on social media about wanting to destroy everyone who betrayed you." "I don't use social media. I don't have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of it." Officer Johnson looked skeptical. "Everyone has social media." "I don't. You can check." Officer Martinez made more notes. "Mr. Foster, is it possible someone else is posting things using your name?" "I don't know. I guess it's possible." "We're going to need you to come down to the station tomorrow and make a formal statement, and we'll need to see your phone records for the past week." "Fine." After the police left, I called Erica. "Rachel's claiming I've been harassing her," I said. "She told the police I gave interviews to reporters and posted stuff on social media." "But you didn't do any of that?" "No, but someone's been doing it using my name." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Erica? Nick, I think I know what's happening." "What?" Rachel's creating fake evidence. She's probably made fake social media accounts in your name, maybe even recorded fake phone calls. She's building a harassment case against you. Why would she do that? Because if she can get you arrested for harassment, it proves her story. She becomes the innocent victim, and you become the vindictive ex who couldn't handle being dumped. That's insane. It's also brilliant, and it's exactly the kind of thing Rachel would think of. I felt a cold knot forming in my stomach. So what do? We prove she's lying, and we do it publicly before this gets any worse. How? Leave that to me. But Nick, don't leave your house tomorrow. Don't go anywhere, don't talk to anyone, just stay home and wait for my call. Erica, what are you planning? I'm planning to end this once and for all. The next morning, I woke up to find my front yard full of protesters. Not the anti-adultery church group from Dave's gym. These were different people, carrying signs that read, "Stop harassing pregnant women," and "Nick Foster is a stalker." I looked out my bedroom window and counted at least 30 people marching around on my lawn. Someone had organized them overnight. My phone had been turned off, but I powered it on to find hundreds of messages. Most were from reporters, but some were from people I didn't know, calling me everything from a woman-hating monster to a pathetic loser who can't handle rejection. There were also messages of support, mostly from people who knew me personally, but they were outnumbered 10-1 by the hate messages. I was making coffee when someone started pounding on my front door. Through the window, I could see it was Dave, looking even worse than he had 3 days ago. I opened the door. The protesters immediately started shouting at both of us. "Nick, you have to make this stop," Dave yelled over the noise. "Make what stop?" "Rachel's lost her mind. She's telling everyone I'm helping you harass her. She says we're working together to destroy her." "Are we?" "No, I haven't talked to you except for that one time at your house." "Then why are you here now?" "Because she's threatening to tell the police that I'm part of your harassment campaign. I could go to jail." I almost laughed. "Welcome to my world, Dave." "This isn't funny. She's making up evidence, creating fake text messages, recording phone calls that never happened." "And you're surprised by this? You helped her plan to frame me as abusive, remember? That was different." "How?" Because we weren't actually going to go through with it." "Bullshit, you were absolutely going to go through with it." Dave grabbed my arm. "Nick, please, you have to help me prove she's lying." I looked at him, my former best friend, the guy who'd been in my wedding party, who'd helped me move furniture, who'd been part of my life for 20 years. He looked desperate and scared, and completely broken. "Dave, you made your choice when you decided to sleep with Rachel. You made another choice when you decided to help her plan to destroy me. Now you're living with the consequences of those choices. She's going to destroy both of us. She already destroyed you. She's just finishing the job." I closed the door and went back inside, leaving Dave standing on my porch with the protesters shouting at him. An hour later, Erica called. "Turn on Channel 7, she said. "Right now." I turned on the TV. Sandra Mills was standing outside the police station with a breaking news banner across the screen. "This is a developing story," she was saying. "We've just learned that Rachel Prentice, the pregnant woman who claimed she was being harassed by her ex-fiancé Nick Foster, has been arrested on charges of filing false police reports and evidence tampering." My jaw dropped. According to police sources, an investigation into Ms. Prentice's harassment claims revealed that she had created multiple fake social media accounts, recorded false phone messages, and fabricated text message conversations in an attempt to frame Mr. Foster for crimes he did not commit. The camera cut to footage of Rachel being led out of the police station in handcuffs. She was screaming at the reporters, her carefully crafted victim persona completely gone. The investigation was prompted by evidence provided by Erica Callahan, the estranged wife of David Callahan, who had access to electronic communications that proved Ms. Prentice was fabricating evidence. My phone rang. "Erica, how did you do that?" I asked. I found the fake social media accounts she created in your name. She was using Dave's computer to set them up, and she forgot to clear the browser history. I also found the voice recording software she was using to fake phone calls. You turned her in? I turned over everything to the police. They did their own investigation and found even more evidence. Apparently, she's been planning this for weeks. I sat down heavily on my couch. It's over? It's over. Rachel's going to be charged with multiple felonies. Dave's cooperating with the police to avoid charges himself. And you're completely cleared. I looked out my front window. The protesters were already starting to disperse, probably getting the news on their phones. Erica, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. We were both betrayed by people we trusted. We just made sure they faced consequences for their actions. What happens now? Now? Now we get on with our lives. Rachel will probably go to jail. Dave will probably leave town if he has any sense. And we'll both be free of them forever. I hung up and walked outside. The protesters were gone, the news vans were packing up, and Dave was nowhere to be seen. For the first time in weeks, my front yard was quiet. I sat on my porch steps and watched the sun set over my neighborhood, thinking about everything that had happened. 3 weeks ago, I'd been planning to propose to Rachel. Now she was in jail, Dave was ruined, and I was free. It wasn't the ending I'd expected, but it was the ending I deserved. My phone buzzed with a text from Jen. Drinks at Murphy's tonight? The first round's on me. I typed back, I'll be there. I locked up my house and drove to Murphy's, where my sister was waiting with a beer and a smile. So, she said as I sat down at the bar, how does it feel to have your life back? I thought about it for a moment. It feels like justice. To justice, Jen said, raising her beer. To justice, I agreed. And for the first time in months, I meant it.